Did you first grow curious about the paranormal? Dare you dig deeper? You are listening to House of Asher.
And welcome back to the House of Asher. We are not dead. Maybe undead, but no, we're not dead. Was on a bit of a hiatus. Family stuff, medical stuff, family medical stuff, all kinds of different stuff. Change of location and whatnot. But here we are, back at it again. Was going to welcome everybody back. You're probably listening to us. Most likely, you might be listening to us on YouTube. You might be listening to us on iTunes, Spreaker, various things of that nature. You may also be checking us out through the PAUK Radio Network, which is if you go to www.paranormalukradionetwork.com. You will go there, and there are tons of awesome shows, and they are kind enough to get us out there through their Podbean network page, and you can check that out on Facebook, and make sure to check that out and like it, and tell your friends, tell your enemies. I don't know, maybe they'll dig it. I don't know. But anyway, I am here with my dear friend and sometimes co-host neecee. How you doing today, neecee?
I'm doing just fine. How are you, Steve?
She is doing swell. She needs to get closer to the mic, but other than that, she's doing pretty good.
Hello, everyone.
Okay. All right. There's that. So this is, what is this? August 20th, 2020, the year of the face mask. And I don't have to tell you that things have changed. I don't have to tell you that things have gotten weird. There's a lot of stress. Those of you that are listening to us elsewhere other than the U.S., you may not know all the stuff that's going on here. It's got pretty wild. A lot of rioting, a lot of division, a lot of left against right, and vice versa. A lot of racial tensions. It's messed up. It's everything's secular, so it kind of reminds me of the stories I heard of like during the Vietnam War and right around that time. I don't know. I think it's a good reminder that we're not as advanced or civilized as we think we are. It doesn't take much, and just with the right priming one way or the other, and all hell breaks loose. But so this is what we're going to do. Well, I'm not sure if I'm doing an hour-long show. I don't know if we're doing a 30-minute show, a 6-hour show. I know it's not a 6-hour show. But we were going to have a few little things to talk about. And before we get into it, what's new with you? What's going on? Have you been working on anything recently? Anything cool happening?
Anything cool happening?
Anything cool happening?
There's been a couple of things that happened. Oddly enough, it felt like somebody touched me when I was going to sleep. My hand was hanging off the bed. I have a little bitty dog, so I know it wasn't the dog.
No, was this your bed, or you did like just break into somebody's house and fell asleep? Was it like
no.
Cinderella deal?
Yeah.
Is it your house?
The three bears?
The three bears, right. 3 paranormal bears.
No, it was our bed.
Okay. It is our bed. So there's that. Well, welcome to that information, folks.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Do you want to take that out?
It's all right. They're going to figure it out anyway. So anyway, yeah. So there's that. But it wasn't me. I wasn't there. I was at work, and I was actually talking about some of the interesting stuff that you're doing there at the garden. But that's interesting too. Been kind of rediscovering my green thumb, as it were, and we're doing a lot with homesteading and composting and all kinds of non-paranormal related stuff. But it's interesting because you step back sort of into a simpler time and a simpler mind mind frame, and I think it opens you up. You're less distracted with your phone. You're less distracted with all that, and I don't know. To me, it's really good and it's grounding, and I just dig it. But yeah, as of the touching you stuff, that was kind of news to me. I know before we discussed a little bit about the what I call the slack face girl. You want to kind of refresh them a little bit on that?
Yeah, with that stormy night, it was really kind of scary. It was high winds and no rain, just electrics, the lightning was going really bad. The rain came later, but I was bending down to plug something in, and I stood up, and here she was at my left elbow. She startled me pretty good.
And you didn't get a shock or anything like before? I'm not listening like it knocked you out or nothing, but it didn't.
No, she didn't shock me. It was...
No, I meant the cord. Like you didn't get a jolt from it or nothing like that.
No.
Okay, because what I'm saying is, there's been reports of people going through different things. It's funny, we're actually going to have a guest on before too long, somebody you know very well from your family, actually, that you were kind enough to turn me on to, that had actually, in a sad situation, had died. Not nearly died, he died at 10, and luckily he was able to be resuscitated, but kind of since then, off and on, he's had weird things happening. It's sort of like, I'm not saying it's so much dead zone, more as I don't know what you would call it. It's sort of a messed up acquired thing, but I think what this gentleman has going on is less seeing like dead guys on bikes and stuff riding past you and all that. So it's less dead zone and Sixth Sense as it is maybe I don't know. What was the one that had the girl, the little skinny chick, and she was like Ghost Whisperer? Is that what the name of the show?
Ghost Whisperer?
Yeah, had the little dark-haired girl. Oh man, my brother Mike loves her, man. Was she like on Party of Five or something, or?
A couple of things I didn't watch.
Yeah, I didn't watch it either. But anyway, yeah. And if you guys are watching this, if you can remember who the heck that is, let us know because I don't freaking remember. But anyway, but yeah. But it seems like more or less he's not. It's more like it just happens when it happens. It's not so much a what do you want to call it? Conscious, willful manifestation of stuff. It just sort of pops up, right?
He can't control what he sees or what is around him. More, he just opens himself up to be aware of what's there.
Okay, and like I said, anytime you guys want to get me some winning lottery numbers, God, please do that. But okay, so there's a couple things we're going to talk about. I'm going to show you something, and this is new to me. This is old. This is old to everybody because this is like early. I'm trying to remember when this was. There was a piece of music, and it was kind of trippy, and I'm trying to remember where it was. It was such an old piece of music. I cannot remember the name of it. Had to do with let's see if I can find it. Hieronymus Bosch butt music. Okay, let me explain. It's not like a guy tooting. It's there's this early 15th century painting, and it shows like heaven above and hell below, and it's got the stuff that you would think people being eaten by monsters and whatnot, and getting poked with pitchforks and all that mess. But there was one person that their body's trapped in or something, but it shows their butt sticking out, like not almost comedically. And if you look at it, it looked like lines across it and like little indentions. But apparently they're notes. It's musical notation. And which when I told you that, you're like, what?
Right.
So, so apparently someone transcribed that or actually put that down and played it, and I'm going to play a little bit of that because I'm just kind of curious what you guys think, and then I'll tell you kind of what we thought about it. The reason I think it's really weird is that it the way the notations it is, the way the sort of the scale that they use is interesting, and we'll talk about that in just one second. But just give us a quick listen. I won't play too much of it, but I just want you to hear just a second of this. It starts out a little bit. The things are going to be like it's going to be Copperhead Road or something, but it's not. And like I said, it kind of goes on like that for a bit. Um, I was telling her, like, I'd hear like, dun dun, dun dun dun, like it's going into a metal song. Maybe it's just me. Um, I can't believe that was written back then. I mean, obviously they had all these, had the scales way back then, but it seems like that was the first sort of introduction, or one of the earlier introductions, what they call trinote, which in early music, some people would try to introduce that into, I guess, plays and orchestras, and they would be shut down. The church would shut them down because they called that. Do you remember what they called it? The
devil's music.
The devil's, yeah, the devil's trichord, because it had a different sort of feeling. It had an ominous feeling. When you use that type of scaling, it hits you differently. Because it wasn't like, which there's definitely operas and arias and things like that that's haunting, but it was like, because it was just strange to find that into a piece of art. Which, if you can look at different art throughout time, you're going to find UFOs and all kinds of stuff in it. You ever seen that, like where the shows and they're showing where it has like a building or the city in the background, it has like the disc flying above it or something like that. You ever seen those?
What are you talking about?
Oh God, man! I mean, like, something like Ancient Aliens or something like that, and they'll have like a picture, and it'll have like people walking down, and they'll have buildings or the top of a tree. Then you'll see like a silver-looking craft, or 2 or 3 silver-looking crafts, especially like in a triangular sort of formation. You never seen that?
I have not, but I do understand what you're talking about, because even the ancient Egyptians, in their hieroglyphics, they have the light bulb. Now, it is not a typical light bulb. It looks like a sword. It's got a snake in it, and they hold it by the handle.
You're talking about the thing where it's kind of got the big
Yes.
serpentine
now,
type shape
the entire
blade.
reason for the snake was a symbol of power. So.
Well, I mean, if you go, it depends who you talk to. If you look at stuff like Edgar Cayce and all that, and some other, seers and whatnot, what do you want to call them, prophets, or whatever your belief thing is. I'm having a moment. What do you call it? Just your personal paradigm on what you believe the world is. But he talked about, like, the Egyptians were more or less the people who escaped the flooding of Atlantis, which some people thought Atlantis was an island capital, but then other people thought that was several spots throughout the world that was civilized, but it was under rule of this one ancient power. And they supposedly had all the, like you talk about the Tesla death ray, and supposedly they had all that stuff already intact. And so more or less, a lot of stuff Tesla brought. Well, I mean, it depends who you talk to. Some people said that Tesla was an alien, or Tesla was plugged in spiritually to different stuff.
Tesla did have his different ideas on how things worked, and man, they still work, but people just got to try them. It's like making a flashlight out of pennies and water.
But think about this, though, too. They were talking about, wouldn't it be great to be able to put a light bulb in the ground? They're talking about 5G now. My friend Celeste Blue Raven has dealt with a lot of this, and she's got actually a really great show, Witching Hour. Go check it out. But after this. But anyway, Solaris had talked about, like, a lot of the 5G stuff is based on ancient stuff, if I'm not mistaken. But what happens is it knocks out your ability for any ham radio. It's just, you're going to have so much. It's just going to be like having a washing machine or something going right next to a mic. You're not going to be able to hear anything because it's got so much background static. It kills that, which kind of messes up a lot of people's civil defense and all that, which some people think they're doing it purposely, but that's another show. Well, you're talking about the ancient Egyptians. I mean, they had like the ancient, what they call the Baghdad battery, which is Baghdad is not Egypt, but stuff like that. So there's all kinds of stuff, man. They're finding cogs and prehistoric Earth and footprints of prehistoric Earth, and so I don't know. I mean, I know we're kind of all over the place. I didn't have a major focus tonight. More or less want to make sure that let you guys know we're above ground, and just with the move and everything, it's been a while to set it up. But yeah, that music was trippy. It had a good jam to it.
I liked it.
I could see, like I said, I'm sure someone on like YouTube has put like drum beats and back beats to it, and I heard it too when they did it, but it was a Gregorian chant with all that stuff, and I was like, I don't know, I just didn't dig it as much. That sounded more like like a Metallica Ride the Lightning or Master of Puppets era intro, and they're going to go into something heavy. I'm surprised a metal band hasn't covered that.
Well, they might now.
They need to. Maybe I should cover it. I can't play that. That's too damn intricate. But anyway, I am curious what you guys think about it, and if you guys know anything about it, or is there other art out there? And because you've heard everything from Leonardo da Vinci putting messages and symbolism in his artwork, and like I mentioned before, the UFOs and stuff like that. Do you know of any other stuff connected with that? Is there maybe other art connected from the same artist that is maybe a continuation of it? Maybe it's a whole another. Maybe it's not one piece. Maybe it's a whole concerto or something.
Well, I was wondering something. Who was the artist that did that painting?
That was it was not the guy that almost knocked the microphone over. Sorry, guys. It is Hieronymus Bosch. And I'm going to try to get this here where I can see the explanation of it. I'll just have to pause this video because I don't want to have a video going behind while we're doing this. But yeah, I know he's definitely a 15th century guy and freaking super talented. Let me see here. Okay. Music printed on the butt of one of the tortured souls in the 15th century Hieronymus Bosch painting, The Garden of Earthly Delights. Now, the one that I just played it for you guys was on Lute, Harp, and Hurdy-Gurdy by James Splanick. Or Splalik. Sorry, I suck at this.
Spalek?
Splalik? Spalink.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, James, for butchering this, but it's based on the transcription by an Amelia Hamrick, and the intro and outro employs the devil's interval, or the tri notes, which is pretty trippy. But anyway, and yeah, even one of the comments says, yes, this sounds like the start of a metal song. God, so it needs to be a metal song. It's a bad song. And there's all kinds of stuff. You have different, like the oldest known melodies, do different stuff. Art, be it music. Well, that's the thing. When I'm writing books, which I got to tell you about some new stuff in the book world. When I write, I either have music on or I'm tapping to something. Music, art, even the paranormal's tied in. How did people connect with stuff? Obviously, they would do, like, what's the thing, like the dancing around the fire and get yourself into the, you know more about the Native American thing than me. Like when they would get the chanting going in the drum.
Yes.
Help me with this, please. What was that called?
It was their chant. It was their war chant, or it was their... They were preparing for something.
Right. And it seems like a lot of times, too, they would go and do that for if they have ants, like maybe modern... I won't say modern people because there's people that probably still do that. But westernized folks would go and maybe go pray or something like that. Or some people go out and fish, and that's how they open their minds up to talk to whatever thing is out there. And someone just messaged me, and that's okay, I'll get you. So it's a thing with... I think it's all connected. So anyway, we... I think just by nature we do that. And I think there's a reason we have music. Well, they talk about in heaven, supposedly, what do? They sing praises all night. They don't just say, hey, God, you're cool. They do this whole spiel about it,
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, I think definitely people talk about using music as almost either with different type of dances, different sort of altered states, be it through ayahuasca or DMT or different things, and or fasting, things like that. Jesus fasted. So I think it all kind of ties in with that. What do you think?
I do think it all ties in together, yes. With the natives and their sweat lodges, they fasted.
That's what I was thinking of, sweat lodges. I couldn't think of the word.
And then they would go and rush down to the water and go from hot to cold and shock their system.
See, and that's what I'm telling you. Okay, we have this debate. I think cold water is better. Okay, it's like a Billy Madison. I think shampoo is better. I think conditioner is better. Okay, there's nothing wrong with warm water. It's fine. It's great. I was raised kind of in a way where we didn't have a lot of hot water. We had a large family, so usually by the time I got to the water, it was cold, and it was sort of one of these, how cold can you take it? Because I was raised in the South, and so you have to kind of show that you're tough. So that's why, like, we would do a lot of shower bath. We call shower baths outside with a hose, or if it was, raining and it was November, we ran out into the rain just to get as cold as you could. We used to, everybody's played. You ever played the freeze out game when you roll down the window and then you turn the AC on in the car and you just sit there and it's like 30 degrees of spitting snow? You never played that game?
No.
Okay, that's just me. All right, well, I want to challenge everybody who's of good health, and I don't take responsibility. Play the freeze out game. I wouldn't say necessarily do it in Alaska, but somewhere where it's kind of cool, and see who shuts the window first. And it's probably the smart one, but usually I won. But that's because I'm too stupid to quit. But I do think there's different ways. And the thing is, when I got really cold, my focus got different. Does that make sense?
What did you focus on when you were cold?
Damn, it's cold. No, it depends. It depends on if I was thinking of something. If I go out, it's just like in snow. Snow makes noise. People don't realize snow makes noise. If you get real still, you'll literally hear a little tick, 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 tick. The snow may be hitting your clothing or hitting something around you, hitting a tree.
As it settles, it crunches.
It definitely crunches, but it just means it has a certain little weight, and if your ears are sharp, mine are fairly sharp, you can hear that. You can hear the shift in the trees. The trees will creak because they're getting heavier from the snow, and I don't know. There's something real zen about that to me, and I'm hoping to get you out someday in the freezing cold and walk around, see how you like it. Not going to happen, right?
It'll happen.
It'll probably happen for about 5 minutes. But anyway, I have to keep the car warm. But anyway, but yeah, I think music and art and all that ties together, and it all goes back to the spiritual. I think we're hardwired for worship, and I'm not a big churchy guy, but I do think that there's a certain spirituality in, obviously, in nature and in art, and it's there to what do you call it? Just to spur you. It's a muse. Music is a muse for me. And when I listen to certain music, if I'm writing about, say, 1920s, I listen to 1920s music. I listen to, earlier than that, I listen to Baroque music or chamber music. If I'm writing a story, like I'm writing some stories, some horror stuff about the 70s and stuff, I listen to Foghat and Kiss and, Johnny Paycheck, Takes His Job and Shove It, stuff like that. Because it puts me back in that time, because I did grow up through the 70s, so some of it I've forgotten because it's been so damn long, but some of it takes me right back to it, and I remember it's like, oh God, man, yeah, that's how people were. People were fairly tough in the 70s opposed to now. But anyway, I just thought that was kind of cool. I will mention this about my book, which you can go, if you go to, this is all lowercase and together, www.steveasher.com. There's no spaces between. Steve is basically like the name Steve with 2 E's at the end, then Asher.com. You go there, you'll have links to this show, among many others, from everybody from Diane Franklin to Brian, the professor on the sleep paralysis, to shaman and prophets and groovy horror host and just all kinds of funky fresh individuals. Yeah, I said funky fresh. So go check it out, stevieasher.com. You can also check it out on Facebook. You can also check it out on YouTube under House of Asher. But I was going to mention, I think the last book you guys knew I had out was the Hauntings of the St. Vincent's Academy. Well, I had another one out, just coming off the presses. It is short stories for darker nights, and it is a kind of an anthology. It's a collection. I loved a lot of those short story books of, whoever, Edgar Allan Poe and Lovecraft and even Stephen King. And these stories touch on everything from sci-fi to fantasy to mythology to just all kinds of stuff. And I try to make every story a little bit different. And it's like I said, if you're used to the hauntings of books, it's a little different. Obviously, it's still from my narrative, but it's got you can definitely hear my influences in it. I've read where a lot of writers is like, I wanted to write a book like, I don't know, William Burroughs or somebody. So he kind of wrote it in the mind frame of that writer. And I think you dig it. Like I said, check it out on Amazon. It's available. Obviously, COVID's got me in a stranglehold and a lot of book signings. But if you want one, contact me through Facebook or through Facebook or YouTube or whatever, and we can arrange something. And if you want a signed copy or whatnot. But anyway, enough of my shameless plug. We were talking about. There was another thing we were going to talk about because we talked about the weird music. And what was that other thing we were going to talk about? You got this. You remember this. I know. Don't give me that. Don't scare me. Yes, and here it is. We were going to discuss, because I had this idea. I have them from time to time. And what was I curious about?
The haunted locations, are they more haunted because of the energy? Or are they going stagnant because there's no visitors?
See, I was arguing maybe it's more because, all right, it's just like if you you crank a car 5 or 6 times, after a while it's going to run down. And I've heard of locations that they just played out. It happens. Depends on the strength of whatever the energy is or the location and whatnot. I was saying, I wonder if they're either strong, probably maybe stronger, so they're not using as much energy. Are the weaker ones faded away due to the fact that there's no stimulation to it? Just like if you don't put wood on the fire, it goes out. Well, I was looking around, and I had actually looked at a interview, and it more or less was touching on about, I think it was Jason Hawes, which of Taps fame, who's actually had me on his show because he's a super cool guy, laid back and chill. Like Grant too, but Grant's never had me on his show. Grant had me on your show. But anyway, and he was talking about, and I get what he's saying. Okay, he's more of a skeptic than I am on certain things, but he said, okay, everyone's home. Most people are out running their lives. They come home, they're doing good to go to bed and get to sleep, jump up, and 5 hours go to work. Everyone's locked in. You're going to hear every damn creak. You're going to hear every rattly pipe that or something. You're going to hear the water heater kick on 5 or 6 times in the day when you wouldn't have heard it that much. Not to mention, I don't say like cabin fever, but there's a certain element. I guess you call it COVID fever, right? Is there actually a fever with COVID?
That's actually kind of funny.
Is COVID fever? I mean, I'm not making light because obviously people's dead from it.
A little bit of a pun.
Well, I mean, I just mean that whole concept of it grows and it messes with you. But yeah, I think that it seems like, for me anyway, I think that, I don't know if it's so much just that you hear more noises. I think that your mind, your focus is different. Because I know before this popped, I mean, me and neecee are both considered essential staff because we work with special needs adults. But even that being so, the vibe's different. You're not running to the theater. You're not running to whatever, the ball game. You're not running to Hooters or Wings or something. I don't know. I just gave Hooters a plug. Send me some free wings. Anyway, so I think, again, your mind is different. Where were the best ghost stories told back in the old days? It was after harvest time. Everybody's in their house. All they got to do is eat stuff that they can through the summer and drink. And so they're going to hear things and tell crazy stories and all that stuff. But also, your focus is different. The world slows down after midnight. And which is the reason I write so much after midnight. But I think your perception is different. Yeah, it definitely could be, part of it can be you're stuck in your house, but I definitely think that there's more to it than that. What do you think?
I definitely think there's more to it than that. I think it was pretty interesting what you caught about a month ago.
Oh, wow. We're talking about on that cam we saw. Yeah. I ain't going to say where the camera's at because I won't get anybody in trouble. But anyway, there was some security cameras at this one place, and was watching for deer because there had been some coyotes and things running around. They thought there were some coyotes because they had a bunch of animals, ducks and other small creatures getting snagged. And there was a pretty good sized deer coming across. I don't remember. Was it a doe or was it a buck? Do you remember?
I think it was a buck.
Well, bucks are big. Bucks are pretty large, especially time of year. And it was walking out past a little pond where one of the security cameras were. And so I took a picture of it. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. That's cool. And so I was going to send it to her. And I think I said, kind of zoom into that. Take a look at that. And she said, what is that? And I said, well, it's a deer and something. And it says, I wasn't for sure. First I thought maybe it was a pole or something. I looked out there. There wasn't a pole there. And I zoomed in on it. And it was, well, describe it. What did it look like to you?
It was definitely on two legs, and it was after the deer. The deer had turned around, so it had noticed it, which was interesting.
Right. The fact that it realized it was being stalked.
Yes, and it did have two arms. They were outstretched toward the deer. Oddly enough, with the picture, everything was still and clear, but for some reason it reminded me of a cemetery.
Well, the thing, it was, because it was not a color thing, because it was night vision, to me it almost looked like, God, I'm trying to think. Okay, do you remember like the big goblin? There was like a long-eared, kind of long-nosed goblin like on Labyrinth?
Yes.
And stuff like that. Remember how they had the real big, big buggy eyes and looked creepy? It looked like that. It was real kind of gangly skeletal to me, but tall. And it just looked, it's big long ears, it's creepy looking. And this was maybe, what was it, about a month or so at the same location. I'd heard probably the scariest thing I ever heard. I'm not sure if it was a Bigfoot or what it was. It definitely wasn't a bobcat. I've heard bobcats. It wasn't a cow, it wasn't a deer. I've heard all these things in the woods. But it let out this freaky, like double, triple vocal thing, like it had 2 or 3 different tones going, and everything in the woods stopped, like dead stop, crickets, everything. And I was outside getting some fresh air, and I come out and I walked toward the door because it was unnerving. And like I said, I've worked in penitentiaries, guys, so I mean, I'm not like I'm a tough guy, but I mean, little noises don't scare me. That spooked me pretty good. And I tried to record it, man, and I could not get it to record. And when I did get it to record, it was after the sound stopped. So it's unfortunate. But I tried. At least I had forethought to go, I should try to record it. But, and it was from that same, more or less that same section of the woods, because there's a pond and there's a wall of woods that goes from one end of the unnamed institution to the back. And it was from that area. That was pretty freaky. But the thing is, odds are if I was working elsewhere or being elsewhere and it was during the day, I would have seen that. People have more time to see stuff. So I think it ties in. I don't know. I mean, do you think it's because things have more opportunity to us, or do you think that we're just more open to it because we have free hands?
Well, I think part of it is we're late night workers. So we're awake when most of the world is asleep.
Right. Well, this is part of the world, right?
And because we're awake, we have more opportunity to see or hear what's around us.
Well, I mean, I agree with you, but I mean, I also think it's not just us. It's other people that's whatever work at factories or this and that, and it's just.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they see things too. It's there's okay. To put it in someone else's terms, there's a reason why we're afraid of the dark. There are things in the dark that can hurt you or kill you. And being afraid of the dark is instinctual, and it's a survival.
It's definitely a primal kind of, like you said, a visceral thing. People can watch movies about stuff happening in the woods, like The Witch or Blair Witch Project or whatever, and people say, man, that don't scare me. Whatever. I'm from Detroit, man. I'm from DC area. That's cool, and there's scary stuff there. Go stand in the woods, 4 a.m, don't know where you're at, and then start hearing stuff moving around you, crunching around you, making little yippy noises. Don't know if it's an animal, don't know if it's a person. Okay, let's say maybe you have a weapon. You're only going to have so many shots. It's scary. You know, if you're at the point where you're having to pull a gun out and shoot, you're scared. You can play it off and call it whatever you want to. But yeah, I definitely think that there's a markup of activity, and that might be a good thing. It might mean, if you're maybe, I don't know. It depends how you come at it. I think if you come at it in the thing of I want to learn, and if I'm able to help somebody, if they're needing to move across, it's fine. If they're not wanting to move across and they just need to say something, that's fine. But I think you can come at it maybe in a direction where it's not all like, oh, I want to get a real cool video, or I want to get a real cool EVP. I don't know. I would like to think people were a little bit more soulful. I mean, right now it seems like people's crazy. Go ahead.
I was going to say, too, about the nightlife becoming more active, what's out there, could be because of COVID, with everybody being indoors at night, everything's closed. Mm-hmm. So the night is becoming the time for them again, if
right.
that makes any sense.
No, if you watch stuff like Life After People, which is a great series, it doesn't take any time for like a civilization to, like, there's places in Russia and there's places in America that's been abandoned. If you have simple wood buildings, it might be 25 years. If you have some stone, concrete, whatever, even if you have skyscrapers, a couple hundred years are gone. Only thing that might still be there is aquifers and stuff like that after maybe 10,000 years, and nobody's going to know why they're there. Like maybe we're looking at pyramids and not sure what's up. So, but yeah, animals immediately move back in, and they reclaim it. And they just go, well, this is just part of our environment now, so we're going to use it, whatever. How many houses with a roof in have you seen raccoons and birds and owls living in it? So I think it's all part of it. But, so anyway, like I told you, we're going to do a real long one. Like I said, we did right about 40 minutes, so this is more or less just touching base. Letting you know we're still alive. I do plan on having, like I said, several different guests on here in a bit, and we are still in the processes of doing different stuff. Not saying we won't do some video stuff on Facebook. I'm playing around with a cam. We might occasionally do a Facebook Live on there occasionally. I just have to make sure to wear pants. Fun fact, I hate them. I hate pants. I'm wearing shorts. Okay, I'm not here butt naked. Maybe. No, I'm not butt naked. But anyway, I want to say thank you guys, for holding on and putting up with the kind of hit and miss shows, and I apologize. I want to thank you guys for all the people that says, hey, we want another show, we want a new book, we wanted this and that. And for everybody that's been really cool, with me having neecee along. I started out doing a show with a co-host, and sometimes it was good, sometimes it wasn't, and sometimes you're fighting each other to get words in. We don't seem to have that here because obviously I can't shut up. But so far it's working pretty good, and someday she'll want to be on it, and someday she's got other stuff to do. So anyway, but I love you guys. Make sure to go check us out on Spotify and iTunes and iHeart and pretty much SoundCloud, pretty much all those different audio programs, and check us out at Paranormal UK Radio, and make sure to let those guys know if you like the show. Please leave a like and a comment, and maybe share this and my other catalog of shows from YouTube, and I appreciate it. And I guess that's all I got to say. I think neecee has some words of wisdom.
I was going to say, too, if you had a story you wanted to share, let us know.
Absolutely, positively. That sounds like, see, this is why I've got her on here. She helps me keep focused. But anyway, guys, I love you guys so much, and thank you again. And make sure to, go out there if it's daytime. Go out there and enjoy the day. But as the sun sets and the shadows grow long, make sure to look in your closet, under your bed, in that back room. Maybe double check that basement door. You could have sworn you locked it, didn't you? But it's okay. Sometimes in fear there is learning. So don't be afraid to push your boundaries and see what else is out there in the natural world and the paranormal world. But above all, until next time, stay scared, everybody. Have a good night.